Hello and welcome to Philosophy, the podcast where I talk about whatever I like. Today I am going to answer a question that I got asked on meritocracy, which is a very, very interesting topic and something that I have been paying a lot of attention to almost my whole life, although I didn't really know the word meritocracy itself until maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. But before that, I did have a notion of this, and I think we all do in a way. I'm already jumping into the topic, but yes, I'm going to be discussing kind of my thoughts on meritocracy, if that interests anyone, and kind of working on this lady's forehead. I think I'm messing it up a bit because of the angle of the light, so I can't really properly see what I'm doing, but let's see how it goes. So yes, meritocracy. So to define things a bit, I think meritocracy basically means that a meritocratic condition or state or situation is where people get what they deserve, where rewards or punishment is handed out based on merit rather than any bias or any preference or anything else. And I think at the basis of meritocracy is something which is quite, I think, integral to being human, and values that we all recognize even, I think, inherently. And I think there's so many studies even around monkeys that talk about fairness and people getting what they deserve. And I think they had this really cool study. I think I remember this. I might be completely wrong. I have not thought of this in years, but I think there was a study where they had monkeys near each other in different cages, and they were giving some monkeys like cucumber or some refreshing fruit or something like that, and cucumber. So they were giving some monkeys cucumber, and the monkeys were very, very happy to get their cucumber as a reward. Monkeys love cucumbers apparently, and they were very happy. And then but then later they started giving the monkeys next to them some very sweet fruit that monkeys would prefer. I don't know which one it was. And the ones who were getting cucumbers and were happy until now with their cucumbers started getting really, really pissed and throwing their fruit around because they were doing the same thing, but they were getting different rewards. So even primates do have a sense of justice, and they do have a sense of deserving. And I think it is quite a inner quality that we all inner metric that I think we all use naturally. If you have siblings, I have 3 younger siblings, you will, I think, very, very soon in life, you will start having thoughts around meritocracy, and especially because usually siblings are at different ages, so they get sometimes different treatment, and you do need to kind of, as soon as you realize that other people get treated differently, I'm pretty sure if anyone has siblings, we've asked our parents in the past why they prefer other siblings whenever we think that things are not fair, people are not getting what they deserve, and wrapping our heads around, younger children being needed to be treated differently, and our parents just coddling some of our siblings or not giving us all exactly the same like amount of punishment or reward for things that we do. So even within families, I think meritocracy does start to play a role very, very early. I think from the moment that we realize that we are not alone in the world, and I think it's like around the age of 2. I think that's why they say kids start having their terrible twos, is because they start to realize that they are not the center of the universe, and that there is a theory of mind, and that other people can also think in the way that they think, and that apparently is very traumatizing and not a nice thing to know, unsurprisingly. But yes, so I do think that even within families where hopefully and presumably everyone wants equality and everyone wants everyone to be the happiest that they could be, meritocracy is very difficult. And I certainly felt for the longest time that we were not all treated the same. I thought my mum preferred my sister. That was the sister who's directly younger than me. I always thought my mum preferred her. So even though like consciously and rationally, no, that would be quite unreasonable. I genuinely felt that way for the longest time in my childhood. So even within a family setting where everyone is trying to make everyone just as happy, it's very difficult to get a sense of meritocracy and a sense of fairness, and kind of reward based on results. So why would that be easier for a larger group like a country or a nation or the world? Do I believe in meritocracy? I'm not sure exactly what what my stand is on this in many ways, but I don't think that the world is meritocratic. And I see a lot of dangers in meritocracy itself and holding it as a value or holding it to a high regard. Should we be aiming for it at all? Maybe not. Because I think it's a slightly American point of view where we think that, oh, we all have freedom and, you know, we no longer inherit titles and, well, we do. I mean, to some extent, but for the majority of us in the modern world, it's not that we are born either kings or slaves. There's so much in between. And we tend to think, oh, we have a working culture. You know, if you work hard, if you study hard, you can make it. You can become the next Mark Zuckerberg. You can become the next Bill Gates. You can, marry a prince. You can do whatever you want. If you work hard enough, you will get what you want because other people have worked hard and based only on their hard work. This is the theory. They've gotten these amazing things. So can you. And although I think this notion is super romantic and it's absolutely beautiful, it's great, it's lovely, it's so hopeful. It's a sort of Disney dream that we would want to Disney dream world that we would want to live in. I don't think it's true. And I think the danger of dreaming in this way is that reality can feel so much worse and we can start blaming ourselves then for not achieving those things. Because if we say that the world is meritocratic, I think we mostly focus on the fact of, hey, if you work hard, you will be rewarded. You will get all the brilliant things you want. But doesn't then that also mean that if you didn't then get the things you want, you just didn't work hard enough, or you just weren't good enough? And I don't think that's true because the majority of people do not get these incredible rewards. So why are we in a state where most people would then feel as though they weren't good enough or they didn't work hard enough? When is it really hard work that leads to reward? Because I don't think so. I think meritocracy does not account for luck, and that's where I have a huge problem. Meritocracy does not account for privilege, and that's where I have a huge problem. Meritocracy does not account for biases and variations that might be either built into systems with laws or with the way that majority of the people think and feel, or variations in just the nature of existence. And I don't think meritocracy accounts for all these things. So while I do think that it is good to let people know that if you work hard, you might get a reward, but that reward is not probably going to be financial. It's probably not going to be what you think it is. I think that there is value in work itself. That immediately thinking of in praise of idleness as I say this, but I do think that there is some value within work itself, and you can get reward from work, but to achieve what others who have done the exact same thing have achieved, and on the flip side, to be disappointed if that doesn't come true, which I think in the majority of cases it doesn't come true, then I think that's a very sad state of affairs. I do think that we would be lying to ourselves if we said that the world that we live in is fair. And I think that we would be lying to ourselves if we said that everyone who follows, if you do the exact same actions that someone else did before you, you're probably not going to end up in the same place. And I think that's where I have a lot of issues, even with the online world. And it's kind of the same thing that I mentioned in my video on the issue with productivity and productivity YouTube, because it feels as though if you wake up at this hour and if you put in as many hours of work, if you go to the same university, if you work out as much, you will get the same results that these other people that you see did. And there's just this huge part of me that feels no, because that's not the way the world works. And that's not because I think I'm a pessimist. Maybe I am, but to me, it doesn't feel like pessimism. To me, it feels as though I'm preparing myself against a certain sense of disappointment. And I think there is so much in the world that is down to chance in the best case scenario. Even if the system is geared towards meritocracy, even if there's no biases against me. There's so much space there for variation in luck itself that I think if we want to weigh the impact that different actions of ours have, so this is the work that I put in, this is timing, this is luck. I think luck would have the biggest weight from all of these. And it's funny because I've met so many successful people recently, mostly famous successful people recently, but I've also met a lot of non-famous successful people in like hospitals and doctors and things like that, and there's a constant, in the best way possible, and I think it's beautiful. I'm so underwhelmed when I meet them in real life. I'm so underwhelmed because I tend to think that they are so far removed, and surely I tend to forget that luck part of the equation. I tend to think that, well, if I work this hard and I get these results, but they have this result which is like 1,000 times more than me, then surely they've put in 1,000 times more work. Surely they have 1,000 times more intelligence than I do. They have 1,000 times more insight or ability or social skills or beauty, or they just have, something. Because my brain is kind of programmed to think that meritocracy is a thing, right? Like when I think that someone achieved something, my thought is not, oh, they're so lucky. My thought is, wow, they must be incredible to get that thing, because we're convinced, just get your grades, you're going to get into university. Just like, work hard, you'll make the money, you'll get what you want. Meet enough people, you'll find the one. Like, this is the kind of way that we are, I think, kind of programmed. And even though I have my qualms with meritocracy, and I've had them for the longest time, and I have little angers around the way that people are rewarded or the things that people get. Still, when I hear of someone successful, when I think of someone successful, I'm like, oh my God, they're probably going to be insane. They're going to be incredible. And then I meet them and I think, oh, really? This is, and in the best way possible, that just reminds me of that huge luck factor that I didn't consider. And of course, to maintain a level of success consistently, to get lucky again and again and again and again, you do need to do work. You do need to have intelligence. You do need to put the time in. But honestly, I know people who are putting just as much time in and getting so much less results. And I think it was Taha in a tweet the other day, which I absolutely loved, which said, the millionaires, and it's a weird world online where people who are making millions and people who are barely making rent are doing the exact same job. And that's so true. How many incredibly talented singers do we know who just don't make it? How many incredibly talented painters and writers and, the starving artists? We've kind of forgotten about them, haven't we? We've thought like, oh yeah, that was a long time ago. Now we get what we deserve, because now, we don't judge people based on who they are and where they're from and who their parents are. Really? Do we not though? Do we not judge people based on all of these things at the moment? Or have we not created new criteria or similar criteria to judging people? Are we truly meritocratic? Because I genuinely think we're not. And I think that, yes, so many incredible people do put in work and do put in time, but it's a lot less than I would think that they would have done was there no luck involved. And I think that the main factor there is luck. And I feel like the older I get, the more I appreciate my grandma, because she always says, the only thing that I wish for you is good luck. That's all you need. It's good luck. Like, she never wishes that I'm hardworking, or that, that I do good things or make good choices or anything. No, she's like, good luck. That's all you need. And it's so true. It's so true that the main thing you need in life is good luck, because it will outweigh everything else. So that's not to say that I think I should give up. And that's not to say that I don't do the most on my end. I do work very hard, because like I said, firstly, I do think that there is inherent value in work itself, and I do enjoy a lot of the things that I do, but I do keep in mind that my results are not necessarily a function of my work and a function of my ability, in both ways, both to humble myself and be like, there's a lot of luck that happened here, if something goes well, and also to kind of cuddle myself when things don't do well, and I'll think it's probably not just because of me. And yes, of course, I could have done better, sure. But even the people who become millionaires overnight, they could have done better. Everyone could have done better. That's just the universal truth. There's no such, and yet we only focus it when we underperform somehow. But yeah, I think meritocracy is a bit of a pain. And I do genuinely wonder if people were happier in the past from their results, if they felt that, again, really problematic. Obviously, we should never get to that place again. And it's quite difficult. But I would wonder if giving people the illusion of control then perhaps makes them less satisfied with their results. If I told you that, hey, just send in all your exams and I am going to pick random grades for everyone. Hey, Elizabeth, you just got a C. And I'd be like, oh, that's pretty bad. I'm not happy with a C. Versus I work the hardest that I can and then I still get a C. Would I be more heartbroken from a random grade where no one has seen my paper? Or would I be more hurt from something that I put my heart and soul in and I thought was going to be fair, but then ended up being awful and horrible? I would bet that I would probably feel worse the second time around. And I fear that is the way that we've kind of built things, where we kind of maybe want to pretend that we treat people the same way. We kind of maybe want to pretend that we don't have biases. We kind of want to pretend that, people who've gotten great things fully deserved it and they were the people who deserved it the most. And that's not necessarily the case. So I think although it helps us sleep better at nights, in a way, to think that successful people are successful because they fully deserve it more than us. They probably do deserve it more than us, but they maybe don't deserve it more than other people who have done just as much, if not more work. So yeah, I just think shout out to all the students who deserved getting into universities but didn't have the right passports to get in. Shout out to all the students who deserved the bursaries but didn't fit the criteria for that certain, university degree. Shout out to all the people who had the wrong name in their application, and the person who was looking at the job applications had a racial bias or something like that. Shout out to all the people who have not gotten things because of their, sexual orientation or religion or just, everything like that. Shout out to all the people who have mental health disorders they don't even know about, but are comparing themselves to people who don't have autism or don't have ADHD or don't have learning disabilities. Shout out to all of those, because I think living in a world that you think is meritocratic, when you are living with any one of these things, and chances are all of us have one or a few or like tens or dozens of these things that we're carrying with us. But no, we just think meritocracy is like there and it's and we have full responsibility and full control over what happens to us and the choices we make and the things that the hands that we are dealt. So yeah, on meritocracy, I think that's a bit of a grim topic. I don't think about it as much anymore. But it does break my heart when I do. And I don't know genuinely where I stand on the matter or what a better solution is, other than just that reassurance for anyone who has been somehow in a position where they've blamed themselves for something that perhaps had more luck in it for the person who actually got it than you give yourself credit for. So yeah, that's on meritocracy. And as my grandma would say, good luck to everyone, because it's not about meritocracy. I think it's more about luck than anything else. So yeah, thank you so much for spending this time with me if you did. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Be kind to yourself and others, and don't believe everything you think. Thanks. Bye.